All right, we're down a few people today, but we'll walk through this. So, call the meeting to order, and Christian, will you take roll?
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Waldner,
Here.
Commissioner Thill,
Here.
Commissioner Corbin, Mayor Lindsay.
Need a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Appearances and acknowledgements. Acknowledge the rental agreement for picnic tables.
Huh?
And Commissioner Johnson, is this kind of your area or?
Somewhere between myself and the other members of Public Works. Have copies of that? Okay. I have mine here.
Oh. I don't know, Mike.
Mike, you want to come
Yeah,
up?
you want to come up and
Give us a hand with this?
give us a little background on it maybe or whatever?
So we have about 35 aluminum picnic tables, and a lot of the businesses and churches and private organizations are all wanting the city to haul them and everything else, the private property, and they're starting to show their wear and tear from using them and hauling them and moving them multiple times a week to different places. So a person approached me about charging the $10 per table about it, so we talked about it at the park board, and the park board advised that they thought that'd be a good idea to start for the replacement cost of them also, because, and then, so that we're not being abused by it also, like certain aspects of it. There's sometimes we're hauling up to 30 of them, 30 to 35 of them at a time, which in return turns into 3 to 4 hours worth of work with at least 2 people, if not 3 people, loading them and unloading them. So we have a considerable cost of hauling tables for a business and then the park board did suggest that if anybody had a rental agreement, like if there was a rental company in the city of Madison, the picnic tables would become no longer existent for rental. They'll have to stay in the park areas. So we're not competing with a private entity.
Yep. It's a good idea. That's I applaud the parks committee and that board for thinking of that, because yeah, we certainly don't want to, you know, if somebody else comes in and wants to do a rental business and they want to haul tables and do all of that, then great. Yeah, we don't need to compete with that. But on the flip side, if certainly like a church or a business has some event going on, and if we can help with that, that's just a great service that the city could provide. But at the same time, yeah, if we're putting in man hours, which we are, yeah, I think $10 is pretty reasonable too. Go ahead.
I would like to, I didn't get a chance to talk to Commissioner Johnson today, but I would like to also put the barricades in on that. These contractors come, they take our barricades and use them, and we get nothing back. All of a sudden they come back broke. Then taxpayers just got to pay for replacing the barricades, and I feel a $10 fee on each barricade would also be more than feasible. Gary, do you have any comment on that?
No, that's fine. That's, they'd probably be more likely to come back that way if we had tend to disappear a lot. We had some kind of a deposit on them or something.
When I was foreman out there, they just came any time of the day and grabbed them just like they were theirs. And
You shouldn't have let them.
well, my department head said, well, we don't have nothing on paper, so now we just as well put it on paper, and we got it.
I think that's a little bit of well, it's kind of the same, but a separate issue than our picnic tables here. However, I think maybe some sort of a deposit or a separate arrangement, because if it's a public safety thing where they're blocking off a road, then I definitely want them to have access to it. But I'll let you guys discuss that. Anything else on the picnic tables?
I just want to say that in agreement, it's uniform, it's churches, schools, businesses. If it's not a city-sponsored event, these picnic table fees will be applied to them, and that the city will no longer be providing transportation for them either in the agreement. Just to note that, the paper and the radio, so if they want to rent them, they're going to have to load them and unload them and stuff like that also.
Great.
We just spend a lot of time with this, you know, it is, as Mike said, it's conditions sometimes they come back in, and that certainly is wear and tear. We appreciate that could happen anywhere, but it's also the fact that we've got significant, you know, you send 10, 15 tables somewhere. How many can you put on the one, on the?
We can get 7 on a load
On a load,
for a
so-
trailer.
So if you're looking at, you know, 15 tables or 2 or 3 loads, you know, and it takes a significant amount of time to take them there and then also for us to return them. In a small department, we just don't have the time for that. Not that we don't want to do those things, but we just can't afford time-wise. And so this is an effort to get people in the habit of looking to their own resources for transportation as well as for the care of the tables too. Bob, I'd say we can look at that, you know, that may be a separate issue as a fee. You know, we'd have to look at under another department, but it's not a bad idea at all. It's, you know, we just have to, as Mike said, be careful about public safety issues and what we're using the barricades for and who has to be or not, but that is a good idea. Sounds like that's as big a problem as tables, if nothing more, just coming and getting them, so. Is there any further action at this time? I don't think there is. Sir?
Just need a motion to acknowledge it.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to acknowledge the rental agreement as set forth.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Anything anybody wants removed from the consent calendar?
Well, I'd move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Old business. And I believe we have Jen on the phone. Are you there, Jen?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep. Old business number 1, discuss revisions to ordinance number 1603, appropriations for 2019.
Okay, here we go. You have been shared with the new ordinance number 1603, a highlighted copy, correct?
Correct.
You will remember then having first reading of ordinance 1603 back on September 10th. At that time, I alluded to the fact where we may have some revisions. Please know that there was nothing reckless in the first document, and in fact, few major changes have been made. We simply needed some additional time and some TLC to massage the document, and it is a document that we'll use for the next 2+ years. It appears in our annual report, in our audit. We want it as good as we can get. So I visited with the DLA and Shane Fish, our auditors, regarding the same. So the first reading that we had on September 10th, along with tonight's discussion of some changes, followed by a scheduled second reading next week, was the direction I was given by the DLA to go through this process. Okay? So the document that you have in front of you, any change is highlighted in yellow. And initially, it looks like a ton. It looks like a ton of changes, but please note that numerous total columns are affected. You change one number, and it affects 2 different total lines. So it makes for a lot of yellow, but there really have been, as I stated, very few major changes. So let's go through Section 1. Section 1 are your appropriations or your expenditures. And Section 1 will take you through page 1 of the ordinance, page 2, and page 3. So some of the changes within those 3 pages, we added an addition of $10,000 total to the municipal utility building, office equipment, and furniture line item. And that was a total of $10,000, but it was distributed between the water, electric, and sewer funds, the same process as the rest of the municipal utilities, building, office equipment, and furniture had been. But we did take $10,000 and add that and distribute that to all three funds. We also added $150,000 to the annual electric conversion project. Brad had backed down on that because of some other departmental expenses. After some further analysis, we were able to add $150,000 there. So our electric conversion project for 2019 is now slated for $650,000. We also added about $9,000 in the electric generation plant. Needs some GNR control upgrades. It's my understanding that that is electronic computer equipment that needs to be upgraded out of the gen plant. We added $9,000 there. We eliminated the flooring project at the CC pool for the short term at least. So we pulled it out of the 2019 budget. We may hear more about it later, but we decided to pull it out of the 2019 budget, and that affects several line items. That affects the CC admin expense and the general transfers out expense, as that project was slated to be paid for with major maintenance and reserve funds. There is an addition of Grand Circle TID, broke revenue and expenditure all the way through the document, which nets out to zero, remembering that for the TID, we take money in all year long and we turn around and pay it back. So we are just a pass-through on that TID. There were revisions to a couple capital outlay accumulation requests, which then gives us a revised total appropriation. Go with me, please, gang, to page 3 of that ordinance. Bottom line, way right-hand total. Total appropriations and accumulations is now $31,705,149, which is an increase of about $213,000.
Over last year?
Nope, over the budget that we had over the first reading.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. With me so far? You can hear me? Everything's okay with me so far?
Yeah, pretty much. Continue on.
Okay. Section 2, sources of funding or revenue. So section 2 is specifically page 4. Several changes to our general fund revenue. Again, just basically had some more time to take some work there, do more work there. Interest income, we added some additional interest income. We had time to analyze all of our special assessments that are hanging out there due and payable. So some additional special assessment income. Also contributions from other governments, as last year we did not budget for the DSU SRO reimbursement, and we picked that up and added that this time around. Also changes to revenue within the electric department. We increased our metered sales based on this year's year-to-date sales, and we decreased our power factor revenue due to consumer utility upgrades. Revised total reserve and revenue. So again, gentlemen, about 3/4 of the page down, it'll say total rev and reserve. Go way to the right-hand side there to your totals column. $29,858,485, which is also an increase of about $256,000. So we increased our expenditures, but we also increased our revenue. Then note with me, please, the unexpended balance totals per fund. That's the line right below there. It says unexpended balance.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually the cash balances we are estimating to be spent in 2019. And then below that, there is an increase in unexpended balance. That is the cash balance we are estimating to gain. Section section 3, right below there are our tax levies. Say that again?
Oh,
No.
continue on. That was just somebody out in the hallway.
Oh, okay, sorry. So section 3 is tax levy. No changes to this section, and this information has already been sent and accepted by the Lake County Auditor. So our tax levy has been submitted and accepted for the year. Now, all of the departmental revenue and expenditure worksheets, all of those big, long, that gives you more information than you probably even want to know. All of those have been checked, double-checked, and posted out on the city's website. All should be fresh and clean out there as of this morning. So, also along with this ordinance, so this highlighted ordinance is also out there, as is updates to the capital outlay, special projects, and promotion expenses. So that main document that we have worked from for the majority of the budget process, that details all of those larger capital and special expenditures for the year. So all that's posted out there. I hope that you'll all find and take some time to review. And as always, don't be afraid to ask questions directly to me or to any department head concerning their department. So I'll entertain any questions. If you have questions for me, try me. I'm sitting in my car in a parking lot. I'll do the best I can. But please know that today is this discussion to highlight the changes as we have discussed. We'll have a whole week to ask questions, and then we would slate our second reading of this ordinance for next Monday.
So we have, again, remind me of the process. We have our second reading next week.
Right. Normally with an ordinance, we will, with the normal process you're used to as the Mayor Commission of the City of Madison, is we have 2 weeks in between first reading and second reading. You don't need 2 weeks, you need actually 5 days. We can move the second reading 2 weeks if you're wanting some additional time for that, but if anybody's comfortable, if everybody's comfortable with this, we just meet the criteria of the 5 days, and we can have our second reading next Monday night already.
That'd be next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, Jen.
Next Tuesday, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
Questions, anybody?
Well, following Mike's question, then after the second reading, how long do we wait until we,
After the second reading, then we publish the following Thursday, and the ordinance is effective 20 days after publication.
okay, thank you.
Yep,
So we have to have everything in order then by that second reading, basically.
correct. Correct.
And by that second reading, then that's what we're going with for 2019.
Correct. And I am very comfortable with the document that you have in front of you. We have spent a lot of time on the department head end and on my end and staff end. I'm very comfortable with the document you have in front of you.
Can I take you back to a question about the information you presented here? If you
Yeah,
go
go
to,
ahead, try me.
okay, page 4, section 2, page 4, and about 2/3 of the way down where it says total revenue and reserves.
Uh-huh.
For each department, is that reflective of cash revenue as well as reserves or other resources?
Yep, that is your cash from above. So anything there under section 2, which is all of your cash,
Okay,
and also your reserve supply.
okay,
See that line right above there,
correct, yeah.
Kelly?
And there are no other resources in that line. It's basically the cash and the reserves.
Correct.
Thank you.
The cash that we expect to generate, along with the reserves that we are anticipating applying.
So any adjustments that we set forth originally in the budget, or recommendations that were set forth, would be reflected in this line also. In other words, if we did away, this, I'm just speaking hypothetically right now, but if we did away with a reserve or took a chunk of money out of a reserve this year for use for a dump truck or something like that, that would be, this money that's reflected in these lines indicates that expenditure in 18, and then what we anticipate having there for 19 plus the cash.
If you are going to apply a reserve, if you're going to make any kind of an equipment purchase, building purchase, whatever it may be, that reserves applied is the line that would reflect that reserve being applied to that purchase.
Let me ask that a different way, okay? Let's say we had $100,000 in XYZ reserve, and we used 25,000 of it for some purchase or some expense in 18, current year. So that would take it down. We would approach the year 19 with that 75,000 forward in that reserve, correct?
Correct. That stays in that reserve, but if you're not going to add to the reserve, or you're not going
That
to
was my next
take
question.
from the reserve,
Yeah.
it ain't going to show up on this ordinance.
And so if that was a fairly significant reserve that we anticipate using again, and we added 25,000 back to it to restore it to that level 100,000, then we'd enter the year 19 looking at 100,000 in that reserve plus cash balances.
Right. But
Okay.
once again, Kelly, that total reserve, total dollars of that reserve is not going to be part of this budget ordinance. That's going to be a separate document in your budget book that's going to show all of your capital outlay accumulation.
Correct.
And
Okay.
what you've
Yep.
added and what you've taken out and then what your balances are.
Okay, right, yeah, I got that. All right, thank you.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, yeah.
Good.
I just want to make sure we understand that what we're entering, what we're anticipating for reserves, as well as other expenses in 19, how that correlates to whatever we did in 18, but I think you've answered that, so thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Anything else?
And again, Jen, those reserves and the amounts that are in each of those reserves, as well as your special projects and things, those are all posted on the web.
The reserves are not. The capital projects are. The reserves, though, please remember that you get a monthly breakdown of those
Yeah.
reserves.
And they're in our monthly packets too, or
You got it.
one-
Yep, they're part of your investment
Yep.
report that is on the consent calendar every month.
Yep.
So you can track those every single month.
I wonder
And
if it wouldn't make sense to add those to the website just for transparency and just so the public can see it too.
okay, we can do that. If it's not already there, I'll check with the girls, but the investment report should probably already be there.
Sure.
But we'll verify, okay?
Yep. Just to make it a little more convenient for a citizen, in case they're not looking at our exciting agenda packets that we get every week. So, but Finance Commissioner, any comments? Anything else?
No?
All right. Do we have? Let's see. I guess we don't even need a motion then. All we have
We do not.
is discussion. So, and I think at this time, Jen, I think you're going to drop off.
I am. Is that okay with you?
That is fine. Go Bulldogs, and good luck.
Thank you. And
Thanks,
this
Jen.
was not the plan, but I appreciate technology is a wonderful thing. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wall,
Thank you. Bye.
Yes,
that's all on the website already.
it is on. The reserves are.
Yeah, under her finance department, it's all listed in there.
Excellent. I thought it was. So
They were added.
okay, good. Just wanted to make sure that all of these numbers and everything is available per department also on the web. So making that available for the public is somewhat unprecedented. I know it's in the past without that technology, it was hard to get numbers from any government, and so by having it out there, I think is definitely a good thing. All right, on to new business. Authorize mayor to sign memorandum of understanding, Randy Weezy, drainage route, south end of Heatherwood Drive. And I'm not sure if David was going to speak to that, Gary or Chad, anybody else?
The mayor had been leading that. He and I had talked about it some, but as far as I believe the mayor and David worked primarily on this, but I can just tell you this is a connection into our city drain tile system, or excuse me, our city storm sewer system. up where it indicates at the south end of Heatherwood Drive. That's near where it is. So otherwise, I'm aware of it, but I haven't been leading the discussion, if you will, on that. My understanding is Mr. Weezy wants to coordinate with some other private landowners in the area to install some drain tile. And he will still be responsible for that, whether that's the landowner that's installing it and wants to, in effect, drain tile their property and lower the water table in most cases, or they're crossing another person's property to connect to it. Because this drain structure is located in an easement we have on somebody else's property. So I would say it's Mr. Weezy's responsibility to get any access, any rights to cross. So that's all I would say related to that.
Yeah, I think it's an agreement to help with that and make sure that we don't mess up the flow of the water. And anything else to add, David? I know Chad had mentioned how the mayor was kind of spearheading this, and so.
I don't have a lot to add. I mean, I would actually twist a little bit what this really is for. I think Mr. Weezy could probably drain the property the way he wants. I don't even know how much of our consent would be needed ultimately. But what I do know is that Mr. Weezy's concerned about turnover of commissions and people not understanding later what the general understanding and agreement was with respect to drainage. So he wanted a recordable document. It's probably wise to keep the city with its neighboring landowners on the same page. And this way it's memorialized. It'll be recorded. It'll be remembered. But from what I understand from the technical people, this is not an issue. So it was just my job to draw it.
And obviously, Mr. Weezy, Randy's all okay with it. He signed it, and so he's fine with it. And as long as you're fine with it, so we should be good.
I am.
So this basically outlines his responsibilities, our responsibilities, who can do what. And there isn't much more that we can say in here.
Not a lot more. But, I mean, there's another provision that just says nobody agrees to any further drainage actions without another agreement.
Okay.
But it sort of consents to and approves of this plan.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the understanding agreement with Randy Weezy. Drainage route on south end of Heatherwood Drive.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. New business number 2, authorize mayor to sign certificate of substantial completion, Double H paving, Egan Avenue parking lot, project 2018-4. And Chad, I believe this is your...
Thank you. Included in the packet is said document. This is a standard document that in the EJCDC Engineers Joint Council on Contract Documents, it's a standard set of documents that are used. This outlines basically when this was substantially complete. That's defined in the contract, and then it sets the date. Among other things, it sets the date for the warranty period, and then there's a deadline included in the plans for when they have to meet substantial completion. They did meet that date. September 6th is before that date. And so now there's just any punch list items necessary to on the project, which there's none. And so this is basically complete. Also in the bills for today's project was a bill for the project for the final amount. I did want to report at the same time that you approved and considered a change order right around September 26th. Where you approved up to just under $85,000 because of some of the base and underneath the granular material was unstable and unsuitable with what we had included in the design, and so we had to increase the thickness of gravel there. and then excavate the material out for that placement of gravel. So that's what just under the 85,000 resulted in. I did want to report that we actually were able to stay under that amount with the final quantity reconciliation. When we pay on these projects, we pay based upon the number of units that the contractor either installed or whatever he accomplished, and whether it's unclassified excavation based upon a cubic yard, gravel on a per ton basis, asphalt on a per ton basis, whatever that is. That's how our contracts are set up, and so we just tabulate those and add them up, and then multiply that quantity times the unit price bid, and that's how we come up with our final price. And in this case, the project came in at just under $79,000, so it was a little bit under what we estimated in the change order. So I just wanted to report that too.
So about $5,000 less.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Nice work, whoever helped work with that. I know streets guys were probably involved as well, and then Chad, you were and stuff too, so.
Yeah, the street department, Gary and his folks put down the markings to save a little cost and hired a contractor to do it, and they did a great job, so.
On time and under budget, we expect nothing less.
Well, I think it should be easier to clean that lot out. Yep. Substantially easier. That's fine.
Any other questions, or do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the memorandum of understanding, authorize the mayor to sign the certificate of substantial completion with Double H Paving, the Egan Avenue parking lot project 2018-4.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will check for public comments. We have no public comments. Announcements. The meeting for next week will be on Tuesday night,
Correct.
October 9th, instead of Monday, with Monday being a holiday. Any other announcements? Nothing else? Seeing none, make a motion or call for a motion to go into executive session, SDCL 125 to Pren 3.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are in executive session.